Morning. Well, maybe we should go. I said, are we going for a walk? Maybe we should go for a bike ride. I said, have you been outside?
I saw you going for a walk, so you must have won.
Yep, we went for a walk. So it was like, yeah, we'll walk instead of bike ride. He's the wimp of the family.
You're at the far end.
When are they going to start that again, Dale? Dale, when are they going to start busing back up
For MCI,
for MCI?
June,
they're talking a week from today if everything works out, but we'll see.
Do you have to take the temperature before they're gonna, they have to send somebody to take temperature?
Well, we're discussing that issue too, if the driver's going to do it or if they're going to, because they have a supervisor that rides on the bus too up there, so they might do it or whatever, I don't know. That's all stuff we got to work out.
That's how we're doing it, is supervisors are having to do it.
And
I got
DigiKey
duty on
is,
Friday.
we got an
That's
email
what I
back
do
from
too.
DigiKey today, and theirs is on hold until they figure out what's going to happen.
But we're fortunate, we have a nurse on site.
No, we're not gonna
too,
do that.
so anything for us over 99, we send them to the nurse.
We can do our pre-screening on our phone.
Oh, yeah.
and Just show them that we've
Right,
been
there should
cleared
be a
when we get
couple,
there, and they
yes.
just have to do the
I sent the
temperature.
information.
Well, we went ahead, I mean, we did have
Watch it.
3 nurses as a company, and we hired 2 more, so we had 1 at every site now.
So I believe that there are a couple.
so you're gonna get turning wheels pretty
The
quick.
question for me is what do we do
Well, one anyway,
for the rest of the year? I think that's what we're all trying to figure out.
maybe, but that ain't going to pay bills. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
Pennies on the line, for example.
And I don't know what's going to happen if we can't haul a full load of people on our bus.
You put some of them
We
hanging
ain't gonna
from
be able to
straps
afford
on the
to run 'em.
outside.
I was,
I was gonna say,
Some
when's
inside
it,
and some
come the
outside.
time where it doesn't turn this,
Carrying people on the bus, carry
turn the
some on the
key.
inside.
Yeah.
You install running
I was
boards and
thinking,
then some of them stay on the
Dale,
outside.
what do you do, what are the football team gonna do?
Well,
hi honey,
exactly, it's,
Well, you're gonna take 3 buses?
yeah.
right,
And it won't be cost effective in the tape.
Well, see, that's the problem with
School
this.
bus more than, any more than you.
That's the problem with MCI we were discussing,
Okay.
because they have like 30 people or whatever, and you can get 13 on the bus if you, on a 55.
Okay, let's call to order this special meeting of the East Grand Forks Economic Development Authority. It's 12:04 on Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. Please call roll.
Johnson. Black.
Here?
Blair.
Here?
Pokrzywinski.
Here.
Heck.
Here.
Randy.
here,
Helms.
Here.
We have a quorum. Okay. Item number 2, new business. Review of revised loan criteria for the COVID-19 emergency loans. The Special Ad Hoc Committee met last week and came back with a fine-tuned set of criteria. Anybody want to start off, comment on this, or questions, if any?
Well, let me point out, I
Gordy.
made 2 small adjustments that I put in parentheses on the criteria. One is that apparently not every business could apply for a paycheck protection program loan. So we have to, I would suggest we use equivalent documentation of other loans. And the one business that ran into that has supplied their economic injury disaster loan paperwork. So that I thought was reasonable to allow something to have that kind of flexibility. And the other thing is, I added number 11, that the loan should be secured by personal guarantee. We've talked about that, but we just didn't include it in the criteria. Okay?
Yeah, that's essential. That's a game stopper.
I do have a question. I appreciate the work that everybody did, because this is helpful to have it actually written out so that we can see it. With the commitment of our limit of $300,000 and the deadline of when it is, what if we have someone that comes in after we have expended all of our $300,000? How have we thought about what we're going to do if we have more than that?
We'd have to discuss
Just-
whether we wish to change the limit.
correct. That's
Okay.
what we talked about,
Okay, so we would have that ability to,
correct.
okay.
We,
But I-
we all just kind of discussed and decided to cap it for now, making sure that we weren't exhausting a huge amount of resources out of our revolving loan fund, and then also putting the deadline on there for application. So we're just truly trying to get the people that need this now and the ones that have needed the help to get them in and apply, where we're not going to get an application in August, correct?
Right.
I like that because you want them to have the urgency to do it now.
But
And-
we do have the legal standing to say anyone that, on a first come, first served basis, if you don't get in after that, those funds have been exhausted, we can turn them down.
Yep.
That's right.
That happened with the federal stimulus package. They ran out of money and they had to go get some more, or say, well, we're out. So, Mr. Helms?
Yeah, I just kind of want to inform everybody how we got to this position.
Thank you.
Because there were some things after the last meeting when we voted to come out that wasn't very kosher in our book, but the thing is that when we started looking at these loans and we seen the different people that were applying and stuff, and it kind of hit us a little bit that we were kind of loosey-goosey on this and didn't really, and we have to be accountable for this money regardless. I mean, I know people are hurting, but we still have to be accountable to the people. So that's when we decided that we should just table them all and bring it back to the committee. It wasn't we were picking on any one person or anything else. It was our feeling that it was better to just turn them all down than to approve one or two of them, turn them all down till we get this, at this point here. I'm still not 100% sure that we're where we probably should be here, but at least we're better than we were. Huh, Ron? Don't you agree? I mean, so before, so that's kind of why, that was the reasoning for us acting and doing the way we did. And so I want to make it clear that and that's why we're here now, and that's why we're here now is to look at these deals that we have here, what we want and what we don't want. I mean, we had to start somewhere, and I think we had a very good very good session. We went for about 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
So we worked at it, and so I just want everybody to know that that's why we're at where we're at right now. And then the other thing that come up that we're still not 100% sure, and which is Josh's concern as well. We look at the size of the loan is the same for everybody, but we're wondering if it should be kind of a prorate thing. I mean, you got people doing a ton of business that's getting the same kind of money that the person is doing under $100,000 is getting. So that was another concern, if that's something we want to look at or not. So that's why we're here. That's why we ended up with this meeting, because we just didn't feel we could just go ahead and approve all these and without having more on paper, like you
Right,
said.
yeah, and that was one of my concerns as I looked at this. There's a couple businesses that have applied that this is a significant amount of their gross income. And
Yes.
And I'm going, how can they even, we said it was $350 a month to pay it back when it comes back, but when you're looking at those dollars, can they handle that?
Well, and that was my concession on it right away. I mean, because we had 3 criteria to meet. Well, everybody can meet that
Yep.
criteria. Well, now you got to look at it as a banker standpoint. I'm not a banker, and it's not up to us to be a banker either. And that's why we had I voted no, is to get some more parameters. So we got documentations to back this up so we can tell people this is why we did it.
I comment on these businesses that have applied, and everybody's different, everyone's situation is unique. Maybe some of these businesses, it's a second income or even a third income to supplement the family income. So for us to judge that, we don't think they'll be able to pay it back because of their numbers on their application, I don't think that's always fair. We're requiring personal guarantees, and the only way they don't pay this back is if they go through bankruptcy, and there's a huge incentive not to do that for people. I guess I don't favor prorating or a sliding scale. I think $20,000 is a fairly small amount compared to some of the loans we've made in the past, and it just simplifies things just to have just one amount, get it done, and move on. Like I said, everyone is different. Everyone's going to use this money differently for their own needs. So But I will say this, we've struggled coming to this point. We've hammered this thing out till we're blue in the face. And I respect everyone's opinion, and yeah, things have been said when things gotten heated, and you hope that doesn't happen. Some things have been said on Facebook that are unfortunate, and I'm not happy with those. I respect everyone in this room, and the public needs to understand, and these businesses that come to us for help need to understand that the people sitting around this table bring their life experience to this, and they don't make these decisions lightly, and they do them with the best reasons to protect the taxpayers and to help businesses. So anybody else want to comment on that? I wanted to say that. Mr. Black?
Well, I actually had a question and then a comment. So relative to our normal loans that we give and criteria, can you explain how this one differs from our normal criteria a little bit?
Our normal criteria, very simply, are 1/3 of the total need, and it's to a maximum of $150,000. And they submit significant paperwork in support of their application. Now, what we're not evaluating here is whether the $20,000 is 1/3 of their total need. For some of them, maybe more than 1/3. For some of them, maybe significantly less, but we're not evaluating that. But we are limiting it to a significantly smaller amount than the maximum loan that we usually do. And the EDA and City Council have the right to go higher than the $150,000 for certain businesses as well, if they so desire.
Thank you. I just wanted to make that clear. So the last time when I was doing this, I voted no to these because the two people that were sitting on our loan committee didn't feel comfortable with the criteria that was set forth, was one thing. The other thing that I go back to too is when I first started on this board, having transparency and making sure that we have criteria set up for these loans was very important after what happened with the downtown area. And that was very much my reservation is things were not as transparent as I would have hoped they would be. And the flood that happened prior to me even living here, that was an emergency situation too. And I did not want to have a repeat of that kind of issue. Because going back and looking at what people had to say about that, that was not very positive, and that really doesn't give us a whole lot of credibility. So moving forward, I think this is probably the best way to give us credibility as a board. So, and I appreciate the work that you guys did for 2.5 hours. That was a lot.
Mr. President,
Thank you.
I think that there may be people in the audience who don't know what the criteria are. So if you'd like, I could read the criteria that have been proposed.
Sure.
That way, everybody has it in front of them. The program is limited to non-essential businesses as defined by Governor Walz's executive orders and subsequent revisions to the list of essential businesses as posted on the Minnesota Department's websites. Because when the governor's orders were originally issued, 78% of the businesses in the state were considered essential. Because there were appeals, it went up to 82%. So that's why we talked about it that way. The business shall be located within the city limits of East Grand Forks. The business shall have been operating in East Grand Forks as of December 31st, 2019. The interest rate on these loans shall be 1% per year. There shall be a 6-month deferral on interest and payments. The term of the loan shall not exceed 5 years, and I'm taking that to be 5 years, beginning the payment period starts at the end of the deferral period. No loan shall exceed $20,000. People can apply for less. The total commitment of the EDA resources shall not exceed $300,000. The deadline for applying for this program is 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Friday, June 9, 2020. The applicant shall have applied for the Paycheck Protection Program assistance or economic injury disaster loan or a comparable program requiring the completion of loan paperwork and submit a copy of the application and all required attachments in support of its EDA loan application. The loan shall be secured by a personal guarantee. The EDA and city reserve the right to deny any loan request, and the applicant shall be current with all city obligations. Okay.
Okay,
Is June
Just-
9th a Friday?
Yes.
Yeah.
According to my calendar. What?
June 9th is a Tuesday.
June 9th is a Tuesday. Yeah, June 5th, I'm sorry.
Okay,
So that gives them about 2.5 weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
One of
We're
the,
changing it to June 5.
yes, June 5. One of the things that we looked at had, a 1 week or 2 week open period only in another community. And if things are opening up, they should start to be able to be operating, starting to have some operating revenues too. Or as things open up, they should be able to do that.
okay, I'm going to just give everybody a little bit notice. There is a meeting in here at 1 o'clock, so we have a deadline to get through this. I don't think we'll have any problem with, but I just want to give everybody a heads up, so. We'll need a motion to adopt this criteria.
As amended.
As amended, we can have further discussion after we get a motion in a second. So I would ask for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve as amended for the, the guidelines for the loan.
Motion by Hecht,
Second?
second by Blair. Let's do a roll call vote for this.
Do we have any more discussion?
I have.
Oh, yeah, more discussion, I'm
I
sorry. Thank
actually, I want to hear, just to make sure that, you know, there isn't something that we're having problems with, because we're not lawyers. Kind of like to hear from Ron on this and make sure that there isn't something that he sees out there as a pitfall that we could run into, that we've done everything, you know, we've outlined stuff to give us the best ability to get these loans paid back at the end of the day.
I guess if there's anything more specific than that, I mean, realistically, from my standpoint, the EDA has the authority through its bylaws, charters, and through the governor's emergency order to utilize these funds and MIF funds for as disaster emergency type loans. As long as we are being reasonable and we are using it for a public purpose, which I believe everybody would understand or believe that we are, and we are doing just consideration to what we're setting up and going forward. I don't think there is a legal issue to it. It's would be just whether or not you as a group agree to the criteria.
Well, and just to touch on that real quick, you know, when we were sitting in our meeting, obviously Ron was a part of that meeting for 2.5 hours with us.
And these
And
were
a lot of
questions.
guidance came from our representation for these guidelines and outline by not only his expertise, but also looking at other cities that tried to do some things through funds that they had available as well.
Ron, if we would discover come June 5th that we have money left, and we discover that we do that Paul gets approached by several businesses, do we have the ability then to reopen that if we would want to?
We would have to actually reconvene and then as a group reestablish another timeline,
Okay.
refund the account, and then go forward if we believe that that's something that was necessary.
Okay, thank you.
The sources of our dollars are twofold. They're the IRP dollars, which came from the United States Department of Agriculture, Rural Development. We have paid off that loan, and there are actually no restrictions on our use of that because we paid it off. The second source is Minnesota Investment Fund dollars. Most times in the state, the funds are restricted to use for industrial development. But two things come into play for us. One, the source of our dollars was disaster dollars as opposed to loan dollars. So we don't have that restriction. And secondly, under the emergency orders, those restrictions for the use of what's called MIF dollars have been relieved so that the dollars can be used to help businesses that could not normally be funded. You may recall we are also, just as a side note, we'll actually be creating a second MIF account that's restricted to business. That will be the dollars that we retain from the Mayo manufacturing loan. Okay.
Okay,
Carla had her hand up.
Carla?
I was just going to mention, isn't most of our loans been for capital investments, not operating?
That's correct.
Okay, because I know when you were talking to Dan, that part didn't come out.
And that's why 2 weeks ago, or on April 22nd, the EDA actually set a policy that there was no limitation. The EDA was allowed to provide funding for operating expenses under its organizational documents and under the policies of the city. Because there was no limitation, the EDA set a limit for $20,000 in any loan that the city receives. Only $20,000 can be used for operating funds, because the intent is to use the majority of the funds for capital investments and growth in the community.
Yep.
And I
That's a-
just wanted to mention that because Dan
That's a
had-
good point, Carla.
So just so everybody
Thanks for
knows that.
catching that. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Black.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Pokrzywinski.
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Rudy.
Yes.
Helms.
Yes.
All right, unanimous, thank you. Next item is reconsideration of previous loans requested under the revised loan criteria, provided the businesses have submitted and the additional information. And Mr. Gordy, I'm going to have you take us through 1 through 5. And we'll start with you.
I talked with the attorney, and there are two things that we have to deal with. One, we have to have at least the same number of members attending the meeting as were in attendance at the previous meeting. We have the same 6 members here this time as we did at the meeting last week. The second is for any motion to reconsider, the motion has to come from a member of the prevailing side. So that means, since the nays were the group that prevailed, it has to be either Daniel or Josh or Dale who makes the motion to reconsider any one of these. And if you open the motion to reconsider, I can update you on the status of the documentation I've received, because I've received additional documentation since the agenda went out.
Can anybody second the motion?
Anybody can second the motion.
And so
I
do you-
understand it.
Do you want to start with number 1 and go through
Yes.
each one?
We should start with number 1. Dale had a question, though. State.
I want to bring one thing up before we move on this. Maybe isn't the time, but I think it's the place. At our meeting last week, the thing that upset us the most is the letter that was read to us. Because it was stated that we turned down these loans because we didn't think people could pay it back. We didn't think that, one applicant couldn't, 2 applicants couldn't pay it back. And that kind of, I guess that kind of hurt a little bit, because that wasn't the idea behind this at all. The idea behind it was, like I said before, we didn't think their criteria was where we should be at. And that's part of the reason why Mr. Grindy put his resignation in too. And I hope he reconsiders, because I think he's pretty important on here.
What is
But
the
I
letter?
just want that.
I'll
What
take
else?
that. I wrote an email to Paul and asked him to read it at the meeting, and I was quite upset when I wrote it. And in hindsight, probably shouldn't have, and I apologize for that. And I had received some feedback from people whose loans weren't approved, and I was relating their frustration. So if you'll accept my apology, you're very appropriate in bringing that up here, Dale.
Okay, thank you. And then the next thing is I'll make the motion to, what do you have to say?
I believe, and Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a motion to reconsider the loan application for All Pro Embroidery. And we go one at a time down our list that
And
way.
he's got the documentation.
We got to do each one.
You have to do each one individually, so ultimately we will have to have 2 motions on each one, a motion to reconsider and then a motion to approve or disapprove.
And you, with these motions, we have this documentation that we set forth on.
No. Once you make the motion to reconsider, then I can introduce the documentation, whether I have it, or if I don't have it, I will ask that you defer consideration to a future meeting.
Fair.
Okay.
Now, yep,
But
just so
we
we're on
have,
the same page.
before we can consider it, we have to bring it back to a point where we can consider it.
Okay,
Paul, can anyone then make the motion to approve the loan?
Yes.
Okay,
Any of the
once it's
members can
been-
make a motion to
Okay.
approve the loan ultimately.
Okay.
So we have to have two motions to,
The first motion is going to be to reconsider.
Okay.
If we don't get the motion to reconsider, we can't consider it. Then ultimately, after discussion,
I understand
we
now.
can make the motion to approve.
that's why I wanted to make sure that,
Okay, I'll make the motion to reconsider all pro embroidery.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Helms, a second by Grindy. Do we need a roll call on these?
I would.
Okay. Roll call vote. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes.
Pokrzywinski.
Yes.
Peck.
Yes.
Randy.
Yes.
Helms.
Yes.
Okay.
I have received the entire packet of information, the entire PPP application, and all supporting materials from the applicant for All Pro Embroidery, which is what we asked them to do.
Yep.
And the information validates their application.
So do you want to make a recommendation for each one of these, or just
I-
inform us on that?
I would recommend,
Yes.
since they meet the criteria, they should be approved.
Okay.
Move approval of the
Second.
20,000.
Motion by Blair, second by Hecht. Call roll.
Do we need the, just that it's a $20,000 in the loan? Is that the only thing in the motion, or just approve the,
Approve their application.
okay?
The application is for $20,000. I would suggest that we include the amount in
Amount,
the.
yes.
Definitely suggest we include the amount.
There is one that's different, I think, isn't there? One or two?
There is one that's
Yes.
different, yes.
In fact, there's
Yeah, I think one's
technically two, because the one is over.
Well, there were
One is
actually,
under.
yes, and we'll get to that one. We'll
Okay.
deal with that when we get to it.
So the motion is to approve a $20,000 loan according to our
Thank you.
criteria for all pro.
Okay.
But the second has to confirm that.
Second, yes.
Okay.
Okay, Black,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Need a motion on number 2, Gregoire Enterprises.
I'll make a motion to reconsider Glitz Glam and Tan.
Second.
Motion by Helms, second by Grindy. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Black,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Helms.
Yes.
Okay, then we need a motion to approve the loan application for the amount of $20,000.
Now, I would ask that the action, that this be postponed or deferred to a later meeting. They have not yet provided me the information. Mrs. Gregoire was out of town, and she has the information. And Mr. Gregoire didn't think he should go rummaging through all of his
So-
wife's things to find it.
So if you got the proper documentation
I would
and
bring
we
it-
approve it on that stipulation, is that okay with
I
the
would not
board?
want to do that. I would want that we bring it back and
Okay.
have, once we get the documentation.
Okay.
I would rather bring it back to you.
Perfect.
So we're also looking at, as applications coming in, potentially calling special meetings each week so we can approve these and get them done, is that
Paul
correct?
and I discussed maybe just doing every other week from here on in,
Okay.
till the deadline's over.
We only have
It's hard to get
2 weeks
people.
for the deadline.
Yes. So we can meet again in 2 weeks, and then our regular meeting is the 9th of June. So I hope that we will have everything in hand by then. Okay?
I'd be happy with that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to defer this at this
Do we
time.
need that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Ron says yes.
Second.
A motion by Black to defer, second by Grindy. Further discussion? Call roll.
Do we need roll on that one? Okay.
It's a lot of writing.
It is a lottery. Black,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Helms,
Yes.
Okay, we need a motion to reconsider.
Can, real quick, can I ask a question real
Sure.
quick, just to back up on clarification on this? Is there a reason why we can't make the motion to approve if they get all the applicable documents in?
I would rather have seen all the documents before we
So
approve.
he gives us a recommendation then.
So I give you a
I just
recommendation
didn't
on
know
it, that's
if
all.
we could put the power into his hand, that we would approve it as long as he got all the information.
I don't know that it would be a legal delegation, and I would hesitate.
I would just follow the process as Paul's recommended.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just curious of why we couldn't take that process and speed it up.
The thing that does, Justin, is it creates the transparency that we have been priding
Sure.
ourselves on.
Yes.
And I think that's essential that we carry through on that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, motion to reconsider the loan application from River Cinema.
Move.
Moved by Grindy,
I'll second.
second by Helms. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Black,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski.
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Helms,
Yes.
Okay,
I-
approved.
I have received the complete package from River Cinema, all the materials that we have requested, and I would recommend approval.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Grindy, second by Hecht. Further discussion? Call roll, please.
Black,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski.
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Grindy,
Yes.
Helms.
Yes.
Okay.
But did I?
Approved. What, pardon me?
The dollar amount.
We didn't make a motion to actually approve it. We talked about.
I think I said,
Yeah.
yeah, we did, didn't we?
The motion, I'm sure, said 20,000. and we
Yep.
just
Yeah.
didn't hit it.
Motion to
Okay.
reconsider, I think I said it.
I think you're right.
Reconsider we did, but didn't
Okay.
make a motion to approve it.
Yes.
I wrote it down.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And this is also 20,000.
Okay.
If anybody missed that, that was a $20,000 loan to River Cinema. All right. Item number 4, Sublime Aesthetic Professionals, a motion to reconsider their loan application.
I'll make a motion to reconsider Sublime.
Second.
Motion by Helms, second by Grindy. Discussion? Call roll, please.
Black,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski,
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Grindy,
Yes.
Helms.
Yes.
Okay.
Approved.
The applicant has withdrawn the application, and they were expected to have started operations on a limited scale on Monday, and they expect to be up to full operations sometime in June.
Okay.
Okay, but they're grateful that they had the opportunity.
That's good news.
Yes, that's great news.
So,
Good for
I
them.
can't share information until we can
Yeah.
consider it.
Okay.
I have an attorney here, he's going to beat me with a wet noodle or something if I don't do it right.
That's why we have them here, right?
All right. Item number 5, Waves Float Center, need a motion to reconsider their loan application.
I'll move.
Motion by Black,
Second.
second by Grindy. Discussion? Call roll, please.
Black,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski.
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Grindy,
Yes.
Helms.
Yes.
Okay.
Approved.
The applicant has provided loan materials that support the application. The application from Waves Float Center is for $18,000, not for 20, so please make sure that you include that in the motion, and my recommendation is for approval.
Move.
I'll tell you something else. One of the things that came up and I was asked about is that he's looking at some capital investment, and we've talked about that. If that happens, that may be a separate loan. He's looking at, will be about an $8,000 investment on his part, and that would be our normal participation rate at 1/3, but they're looking to do some capital improvements in there as well.
That's great
So
to hear
separate,
also.
Okay?
Would that be a 4%?
That would be a 4% loan, yes.
It's great to hear.
Mr. Helms?
Question. On looking at the application here on the next page and how much they're asking for, am I reading that right, or is that an extra zero on there?
No, it's 18,000 is what the motion is.
Okay.
I saw that too.
Just want to make sure.
I saw that
Sometimes
too.
people are rushing and
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now we need a motion to approve this loan.
I'll make a motion to approve the $18,000.
I'll second.
Motion by Helms, second by Black. Further discussion? Call roll, please.
Black,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski,
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Grindy,
Yes.
Helms.
Yes.
Okay. Item C, consideration of new loan requests. TNT Outfitters.
The application is incomplete and does not have the supplemental materials. I would ask that this be deferred to a future meeting.
Move
Because I was-
deferment.
I'm sorry?
Move deferment.
Motion by Blair. to
Second.
Defer, second by Black. Further discussion? Call roll, please.
Motion to what?
To defer it.
Defer.
Thank you. Okay,
Sorry.
Black,
We're moving.
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski.
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Grindy,
Yes.
Helms.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other items anybody wants to bring up before we adjourn? Mr. Helms?
Can we bring up any other items? It's being a special meeting.
Discussion, or
Just for discussion?
I mean, is it like just comments about what's happening? I guess that's what.
That's what mine is right now.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Helms.
I just want to thank you for being patient with us on this.
I
Because
agree.
we struggled hard with this and long, and I want to thank you for being patient and going through this extra couple steps. So,
Well, I want to
Thank
thank you guys because that was yeoman's work and it really did help clarify things in my mind. And I'm glad we did this. I think it makes us very transparent and
They say it's like watching sausage being made.
And it's just,
This was a meat grinder.
everything's on the up and up, and now everybody feels good and comfortable to carry it on their shoulders. That's all I cared.
and that was exactly his thought, was what you said. He didn't want to go back to the 97 issue again.
yep.
I appreciate it because I think it brings a lot of credibility to the board
Yes.
to go through these extra steps and make sure that we have the criteria down. So
And
I think that's exactly what we
we're
need
in
to do.
bad times just like then, but we got to cross the bridge.
Gordy?
I was just going to say, we have one more application that was delivered this morning,
Okay?
okay? Just informational.
Oh, okay. That couldn't be brought to this meeting.
Oh, it's not agendized in a special meeting? No, I could not bring this to this meeting.
All right.
It'd be nice if I looked at it first,
Well,
okay?
glad you
I
didn't
know that
say-
it was delivered this morning, but I
And you
haven't
didn't
seen
say
it.
we had 15 more come in this morning.
No.
Move adjournment.
Motion by
Second.
Blair to adjourn, second by Black. We don't need a roll call for this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned.
I think Brenda wants to do another roll call.
I do not ever want to do another roll call.
Poor Brenda's going to have